Misunderstanding these important frugal habits could be leaving you stuck.
When it comes to frugal living, there's one thing that people generally want to know. How much money am I saving?
Although that's a very good question, it doesn't take into account some really important truths about frugality. And these truths, by the way, are often misunderstood. That's what we'll talk about in this video. If you don't know us, I'm Hope.
And I'm Larry.
This is Under the Median, where every week we talk about practical frugality.
Myth number one, people think frugality is boring.
This is not true. Here's what frugality is. It gives you the opportunity to continuously challenge yourself and think outside the box. Frugality is figuring out what's working, what's not working, what is getting you closer to your financial goals every month, and what is not working as effectively as you would like it to. If it's not working as effectively as you would like it to, you get the opportunity to think about the problem a little differently, problem solve, and think outside the box. Here's a really quick example. We have recently been trying to lower our utility bill, and we can see our exact usage on the utility company website. So we're seeing these spikes throughout the day, and we're like,
what's causing the spikes?
What were we doing 4 days ago at 8 a.m. that caused that spike?
It's hard to remember every time we've used something in the house.
And so I came up with the idea of keeping an energy diary. It's just a piece of paper that sits beside each microwave in the house. When you turn on something and use energy other than flipping a light switch, then you write down the date, the time of day, and what you were doing. It made it so much easier to look at the energy diary, match those usages up with what I was seeing on the charts. That gave us the information that we needed to figure out, oh, this is using a lot more energy than we thought that it was. How can we use that particular appliance less often or stop using it altogether? That, my friend, is the power of being able to be frugal, think outside the box, challenge yourself, and is far from boring.
It took the guesswork out of it and help us plan exactly what to do in order to get ahead.
Now, if you are struggling to figure out how to use that tool, you're trying to figure out how to lower expenses, then you might want to grab our guide to reducing expenses. It's a free guide. I walk you step by step through 10 really important areas and ways that you can lower your expenses every single month. And there's checklists included in the guide. As I mentioned, it's free. I'm going to make sure that I leave a link to it in the description of the video.
Another myth is that frugality will cause subsistence living. I'll never be able to get what I want. And actually, the total opposite is true. Frugality helps you to separate your wants from your needs. And then it helps you to work on those needs in a more specific, planned way so you can get items that might actually be higher quality, a little higher costing, but will service you and last you a lot longer.
What it really comes down to is budgeting within your values. It's values-based budgeting. Now, if you want a new book, which I just read, by the way, you want this book. This book is from Jen and Jill from the Frugal Friends podcast. Anybody watch Jen and Jill, or listen to them, I guess I should say, because it's a podcast. If you don't, you should. I'll make sure I leave a link to Frugal Friends in the description of the video. This is a brand new book that they just wrote. They were kind enough to send me a pre-release copy. But I'm mentioning it now because it is available as of this week. It is available. Here's what I really love about this book. First, I'm going to read to you the title, Buy What You Love Without Going Broke. Transform your spending to get more of what money can't buy. These ladies really break down values-based spending in easily digestible nuggets, and they give you lots of practical tips and suggestions. I'll leave a link in the video description, guys, and that, by the way, will be an affiliate link.
Another myth is that frugality means buying the cheapest thing. And as I kind of touched on earlier, that is the last thing that you want to do. Now, you want to buy inexpensive items, yes. You want to buy items on sale. You want to buy items maybe when they're on clearance. You want to buy items at stores that reduce the prices on certain items. But you don't want to buy cheap. Don't buy cheap quality items because you'll end up replacing them more often and actually will cost you more money. You want to buy high quality items. So frugality will cause you to get better things actually in your home than you did before.
This whole idea of making sure that you're buying quality. Quality is a couple of really important things that I think people miss this point when they think about, well, I can't afford quality. Here are the 2 points that you're missing. If you're going to buy quality, it forces you to buy less. Because if you're buying 4 or 5 items that are lower priced, you're liable to buy 4 or 5 items. But if you're buying one item and you know you're going for the best quality you can get at a price that you can afford, you're going to wait, you're going to plan, and you are going to make sure that you're getting a great price on that item, and you're going to buy less often.
Here's an example where we misapplied this principle. We jumped ahead. I didn't do enough research. We got into a hurry. Around Christmas time, prices went way down on some items on Amazon. One of the items that we were wanting to purchase for our kids were some little jump starters, and they also had tire inflators built into these little units, little battery operated things. Well, the ones that I had researched and was intending to buy sold out, so I couldn't get them. So I was kind of panicking a little bit because we had to get these for Christmas. And I thought, well, if they're going to sell out, we better make a move quickly.
Hurry.
So I bought 2 that were cheaper, and they seemed like they were okay. And they weren't. They came in the mail and they were defective, and they were really cheap. They were lightweight. I didn't like them at all. So I goofed. I didn't spend my time really researching it. We ended up having to send them back for a refund. So that was a learning experience.
Don't get in a hurry.
Nope.
Myth number 4, I'm frugal, so I don't have to track my expenses.
That is such a mistake. Can you imagine going on a trip in your car to someplace 4 or 5 states away and don't plan on the route, where you're going, where you're going to spend the evenings, how it's exactly going to all work? You just get in your car and go, and that's what it's like to live without tracking your expenses. You want to track everything so you know exactly what you're doing, where is your money going, how much money do you have left over after you've spent this money. The only way you're going to know all of that is by writing them down or tracking them in a computer program of some kind.
Here's our real life example of tracking expenses closely. We have gone from having an in-depth dive into our budgeting process. We used to do it twice a year. Then a few years ago, we went to a quarterly meeting. And now we are taking a pretty thorough look at all of our expenses on a monthly basis. Now, part of that has to do with the fact that inflation really did drive prices up in a number of different key areas. And I think everybody is feeling like that bite of inflation right now. But it really was a wake-up call for us to say, maybe we are not watching what we're spending as closely as we should be watching what we're spending. Yeah. So if you find it kind of getting away from you, or you're avoiding it, when the bill comes, then I'll figure out how to pay it. Really, honestly, if that's you, take time today to figure out what that bill is going to be, and then make some plans to save up over time to make sure you've got the money in hand to pay the bill. So it's a whole lot easier way to do it.
Another myth is that there's nothing new to learn about frugality, and that's so far from the truth. We have picked up so many new things to apply to our frugal living from you people out there. You've given us so many good tips on what we could do differently in certain areas, and you really never stop learning. How can I refine the process? We never really arrive. We're always in a process of improving. So that is certainly a fallacy.
One of the things frugal people, I think, tend to be really good at is we tend to be lifelong learners. Yeah. We see problem, solution, not just problem. Problems will occur. Yeah. But the whole thing about frugality is figuring out those solution points and realizing that there may be a whole lot of possible solutions, and we're willing to try various solutions until we come to the one that works best for us. The other thing that we're, I think, ultra aware of is that we are willing to take some classes. We're willing to invest some of our time in order to learn more about not just the areas that interest us, but the areas that are super important to us. So make sure that you're thinking along the line, having a list. We have a list of yearly goals, and the yearly goals aren't just financial. So we have some personal goals. We also have some goals which are related to education. And for us, of course, we've been out of school a long time. But for us, look, you're never out of school, right?
No.
There's always areas that we are wanting to learn more about.
Yeah.
And we'll have that on a list, and we'll deliberately start borrowing resources from the library or researching online to find out what we really want to know about those specific areas. So make sure that you are a lifelong learner. If one of the things you're looking to get really good at in 2025 is figuring out what changes you need to make in order to save more money this year than you did last year, we just did a video on it that walked you through key areas of your budget and all kinds of different ideas for ways that you can drop between 10 and 20% off of what you're already paying in those areas of your budget. The video is right over there.